Hi friends, today let's forget about pretty privilege, nepotism privilege. What about the privilege of never having worked a real job in your life because you blew up on social media at 15? Or is it a privilege? What happens when social media dries up? What happens when you end up with dysmorphia from constantly seeing your face on a screen sandwiched between the most gorgeous people you could ever imagine? What happens if you never develop a personality because you're constantly adjusting yours to be marketable and watchable for an audience of strangers? What happens when your face card starts to decline? What happens when you have no marketable skills because you won the TikTok lottery before you were old enough to hold a real job? Today, I want to look at some pros and cons of making it big young and explore why, if you feel like you're being left behind in the social media age, being a late bloomer could actually be a really good thing. So let's start with some examples, and nothing but love to all these creators. I just think they make really good examples for each category of influencer that I want to break down, which will range from influencers that I don't think have much to worry about when it comes to losing relevancy to one cautionary tale in particular of an influencer that's already fallen into the pitfalls and watched the entire platform they built crumble down. So join me and let's make our way down the rabbit hole. Starting with the influencers who have truly made it. These are going to be two examples of the lucky few that I don't think will ever have to work a traditional job again, and for very different reasons. Let's start with the obvious, Emma Chamberlain. There was some talk for a while that she wasn't relatable anymore or that her editing style was getting old, but none of that matters because between social media, working with Vogue, her coffee brand, her partnerships with major brands like Canon, Cartier, and Louis Vuitton, and recently becoming the face of Lancome, she's done an incredible job taking the platform she built and expanding it beyond YouTube to more tangible opportunities. It was her authenticity and her ability to be vulnerable that took her to the top, and that's what will keep her there. Meanwhile, I think sort of the antithesis to Emma Chamberlain is Tana Mongeau. Where Emma is refined, sure of herself, and put together, Tana is bold, brash, and controversial. Tana got famous with her wild, albeit exaggerated storytime videos, and despite not having quite the same success as Emma, Tana being more notorious than relatable, she has some of the highest name recognition on social media and has dabbled in podcasting and entrepreneurship as well. And while her attempts at expansion have been not quite nearly as fruitful, her biggest success that made her fame sustainable is that she seems to be uncancelable. No matter what she's done in the past or what she'll do in the future, it seems that all can be forgiven for Tana because she built her brand on chaos. Meanwhile, if an unsavory tweet or picture of Emma was to surface, it could seriously damage the career that she's built. For Tana, however, all press is good press. Being the wild girl is a big part of her brand. Now moving on to something very curious that we're seeing right now on TikTok that's really interesting is what I'm going to call the flash in the pan success. So let's talk about Tube Girl, real name Sabrina Bassoon. Tube Girl has been such an interesting phenomenon to witness because she blew up seemingly overnight. Her one viral video became a viral series of videos showing her unique style of camera dancing on the subway. She pans the camera quickly around her body, filming herself dancing on crowded subway cars, and has created a massive trend of people following suit. Scrolling back, though, through her videos, she seems to have previously made videos lip-syncing to trending audios, posting the occasional dancing video, but she really didn't gain traction until she mixed her unique method of filming with her exhibitionist attitude. Now she has skyrocketed herself to social media success in a few short months, her first Tube Girl video being posted in August, and then just 1 month later she was invited to Milan for Fashion Week, being given partnerships with Hugo Boss, Bentley, and Christian Cohen. Then, 1 week later, she was at Paris Fashion Week at the Valentino show with a glam team that included Patrick Ta. She's had Bella Poarch, Troye Sivan, Vittoria Soretti, and Florence Pugh feature in her videos. And I'll remind you, all of this happened for her in just a month and a half. But is she a one-trick pony? Pre-Tube Girl, Sabrina was posting OOTDs before events wearing gorgeous gowns, lip-syncing to funny audios, and posting videos about university life. But other than one Q&A, we haven't really learned much about Sabrina. She's never been vulnerable or shared a funny story from her day, And we've hardly even heard her voice. We don't know much about Tube Girl, and since her videos have blown up, she's really just been posting more and more Tube Girl videos. And as many huge opportunities as she's getting right now, they will all slip away from Tube Girl as we collectively move on to the next hottest, trendiest thing. While she's at her peak, I really hope that we can get to know Sabrina outside of her persona a little better, because this current trajectory is deeply unsustainable and could all burn up very quickly, like a flash in the pan. And what happens when an influencer's fame slips away? Well, let's look at the fever dream that was glitterforever17. This is a true influencer riches to rags story. glitterforever17, real name Breland, at her peak was making $50,000 a month, which she gained making bizarre 5-minute craft style videos with a bit of rage bait mixed in. She called her followers glitter critters, and her most popular videos included unhinged period hacks, DIY edible phone cases, edible school supplies, edible Sharpies, edible KFC nail polish. Are you sensing a theme? She claims that her downfall happened when she started straying from her ultra cheerful persona that she had created and started leaning into more adult themes. But I think anybody who takes a minute to scroll through her video titles alone would disagree. In reality, she was an internet troll, making the most unhinged content that felt like it was coming from someone who was deeply mentally unwell, and I say that with no disrespect.
Cannibal Barbie gets so hungry, she goes a little crazy and eats her family.
Kind of like a lot of Disney stars do the same thing. They go through this childish phase, and then they grow up and they kind of want to break out of that and be more their adult self.
Do you think this video goes a little bit too far, maybe?
It wasn't satirical or unhinged in a silly way like Jenna Marbles gluing disco ball mirrors to her face. It felt like you were watching the serious mental decline of somebody who needed genuine psychiatric help. And again, I say that from a place of concern. Eventually, her downward spiral resulted in increasingly unhinged videos. She cheated on her boyfriend of 10 years with a Russian man, Slava, who she eventually married, even though he was very clearly gay, and in the internet's opinion, only really seemed to be interested in money, fame, citizenship, and of course, men. She would get on You Now drunk to yell at followers, begging them for money, and she eventually slipped into an opioid addiction, plunging herself further in debt, causing herself to lose the beautiful home that she had bought.
Please fuck me. Like, I know you don't like girls, but, like, hello, sexy. Get the fuck out of here, you stupid little cunt rag. Get off my fucking live stream if you don't like me.
I would do the most to piss them off like they had pissed me off.
Lisa, fuck off with your stupid 10-year-old self.
And in turn, I was making money for it and begging for bars. They can buy you bars, which in turn gives you money.
Do any of you have like 5,000 bars or something like that? Because I gotta pay for this.
And I feel bad for Breland. She is a great example that it's not always a privilege to blow up on social media. Sometimes it may buy you temporary success in the form of money, but using Breland's story as an example, she was just too mentally fragile to be on the internet in such a major way, and it altered the trajectory that her life could have gone in. Just imagine she had never gotten famous. She'd probably have married her longtime boyfriend, had a few kids, had a normal job, had a normal, quiet life. But now she would struggle to get a job anywhere outside the internet. A quick search of her name would result in the most unhinged digital footprint.
Oh, she'll be on top again.
I'm definitely concerned going forward whether or not it's gonna work out and whether or not I could be successful again.
I mean, who hasn't been through a tough time? We all have.
Mine was just on camera.
And today, Breland is sadly flat broke and essentially forced to make videos for her OnlyFans where she humps inflatable turkeys.
Unfortunately, I still use OnlyFans to make money. It's what pays my bills. It is the unwanted gift that keeps on giving.
She has no real marketable skills, and sadly, she's ruined her name through her own actions on YouTube. She didn't have the financial literacy to invest her money properly when she was making it. She didn't have the foresight to protect her name and image by not building her platform, making such demented videos. She didn't have the social wherewithal to protect herself from a man who used her for his own gain. And she didn't have the real-world experience to create useful skills that she could fall back on when her social media fame faded away. Glitter Forever 17 is the ultimate cautionary tale, and as hard as she came crashing down, after getting therapy and maybe doing some self-reflecting, she'll hopefully be able to find her authentic personality outside of what the internet groomed her to be. And not to take away her personal accountability in all of this, but the internet did groom her to an extent. Most people would act like a fool on the internet for $50,000 a month, and acting like a fool is what got her channel off the ground. That said, I think if she came back as a vulnerable person and took the internet on a journey of authenticity as she built herself back up, she could have a real shot at a second chance. And while I don't think being on the internet at all would be the healthiest path for her, I don't think she has much of a choice at this point. All that said, being an influencer can either be somebody's greatest blessing or their biggest downfall. And the people who will go the furthest either have enough self-awareness to avoid pitfalls or enough blind confidence to bulldoze through those pitfalls unaffected. Most everyone else will eventually burn up in a blaze of internet glory. And when they do, they better have invested properly to have something to show for it. Thanks for joining us, and I wish the absolute best to all of the influencers I mentioned, and I hope that you'll join me next week for more celebrity gossip, pop culture analysis, and video essays. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye!